What's up everybody? My name is Matt and that's my 1965 Jeep Wagoneer. I bought this truck 6 months ago from a guy in Florida who had it shipped from California. It used to be an old mud racing truck from California, so it had a lot of good bones to it and it already had a 4-link suspension already installed, so I figured why not, and I shot on it. It's a pretty rare model, so I went for it. I spent the last 6 months building this truck up exactly how I want it. Everything was built inside my Harbor Freight tent. Even though the tent's not perfect, it does allow for me to store all my tools, tables, welding stuff, air compressor, engines, any projects I want. It allows me to store it in a nice, somewhat organized and clean spot, and it serves its purpose and it does its job. First thing first, let's talk about the exterior. The truck was this terrible puke green color when I first bought it, so painting was one of the first major projects I wanted to do to it. I never painted a car before, so a quick trip to Harbor Freight and some paint orders online had me in for a really good time. It's not amazing by any means, but it gets the job done, and if I ever scratch it up, I can go get some off-the-shelf rattle can and touch it right up. The lights are some basic off-road lights with some Jeep JK lights. I use Herculiner on the bottom trim level of the paint, as well as the bumpers for a little two-tone action. The bumpers are all custom built by myself with some 3/16 plate, my angle grinders, and my welder. It's got a Badlands 12K winch on the front. Since my tailgate never comes down this Wagoneer, I was able to move my tire carrier hinge assembly towards the center. The tire carrier uses a chromoly hinge and some 2x2 I had laying around. It's a bit taller than what I want it, but I like to be able to see the license plate and the Wagoneer trim. It's on 35 by 16-inch tear grapples with plenty of room to upgrade. The roof rack is just some black iron pipe. The exhaust routes from the engine directly to the outside of the frame to show off the wrapped 2.5-inch exhaust side pipes. To finish it off, it's got 5% tint all the way around the wagon. Alright, you may be wondering what power plant I got in this thing and drivetrain, so let's talk drivetrain next. So naturally the engine had a blown head gasket and some serious block damage when I tore into the tire 350 that was in it. I had it machined here locally and built myself my first engine ever, a 350 bored 30 over, so a 355 at the end of the day. Small block Chevys are pretty forgiving, so it was a good first build. It's got the stock cast iron heads, just remanufactured with a small RV/truck camshaft to wake it up a little bit. Most of the engine accessories are just basic small block Chevys parts. It's paired with a Turbo 400 with a shift kit and an MP205 with a twin stick. It's got Dana 44s with the chromoly shafts, 40/80 gears, and the rear has positive traction as well. Overall, a very mild but reliable setup for the wagon. I had the most fun with the interior in this build. It was a really good time, a lot of unique things, and it was just fun to work on. Let's go to that next. I made my own door skins with some stained pine. The floorboard is all bed liner. The seats are from a 2000 Dodge Durango. It's the front and the third row. Kind of funky, but it works. The dash is just some custom sheet metal work. It's got air conditioning from a company called Coldmaster. It's basically economy vintage air. The shifters are just pine, leather, and an old crescent wrench. The center console is just a pine box that I made. That was a fun little project. The headliner is just pine 2x4s and some plywood. I love how that came out. There's no head unit, but it's got a 44-inch soundbar all in one system. It's plenty loud, super easy to use, and it's mounted out of the way, so I can't ask for anything better. Last but not least, let's go over the suspension work done to the old wagon. I can't take credit for the suspension or the welds holding the brackets down. I purchased the vehicle with them already done. The 4-link does function like any other link setup, has a good amount of wheel travel and flex, that is for a full-size Wagoneer. It's nothing too crazy complicated, and the original builder was even able to do a complete 4-link in the front instead of a 3-link with a pan hard bar. The coil springs are a menacing look from behind the wagon, so I totally dig that, and the little performance they add really help it stand out in a crowd because, you know, the wagon really needs it. Alright guys, thanks for watching. That's my 1965 Wagoneer, and always have a great day.